story for today begins with the appearance of a giant building. In the center of the city, the hero of our story appears, and he was tired, and was sitting to rest. The name of the hero of our story is Choi Ho-seong, and he turned 27 years old this year. He was a normal college student until 3 years ago. His father was stricken with a disease called magical slumber, and the problem started from the disease appeared 19 years ago with the appearance of portals. The emergence of portals brought about some breakthroughs for humanity, the most important of which is their ability to manipulate magic. But the bots were not a blessing to humanity, but they brought with them incredible harm, because of the monsters that came to our world. Magical slumber was a side effect of the appearance of the portals, but as the number of people awakened as players increased, this was resolved. Mana stones and magic items began to fall from the monsters with the appearance of pops. This gives players the ability to earn unimaginable riches. For Shui, the gates were a curse. Because the medicine needed to treat his father comes from a high-ranking monster, the price of gate accessories is very high. His mother had to work 2 jobs. His sister does not have any money to get married, and his situation is like the situation of all of them. He says, "This wouldn't be a problem if I had the skill. You destroyed mountains with 1 punch. Jump onto buildings lightly. I hope to be a player." Then he came back from work and was exhausted. He then imagines that if he were a player, his life would be easier. The wealth of players is beyond imagination. The algorithm for selecting players is still unknown. Becoming a player is like winning the lottery. Suddenly, he decides he wants to be a player, but he must become stronger. He said to himself, if a person was desperate to become a player, and that happened, then the entire humanity would be players. He stood up and took the towel to take a shower and sleep. The system appeared to tell him that he had been selected as one of the players. I heard about people dying to win awards. I can understand how they feel now. We inform you about the condition of the character named Choi Soon-young. First level, job is nothing. Alias, none. Average personal ability 10, strength 5. Endurance 4, flexibility 3, magic energy 1. He hit me on the head and was very annoyed and said, "Even if this is luck, it is terrible." After that, he was sitting on a chair, sitting sad. No, he only has 18 points, while the rest of the players have 50 points. He says, no, why do all the players have it? I have to raise 5 or 6 levels to reach the first level of the normal player. I don't have any skills compared to other players. Even with low stats, if you have special skills, you will be treated with respect by the union, except I will not be able to join any union. Normally, when the player wakes up, he should get a class such as putties, armorers, or warriors. Most of the time they are the only groups. No. But you may get a strengthening skill. But this is not like Kim Hana. It's a booster, and there are only 10 of them in the world. It is the only one of its kind in Korea. No, there are some players who cannot raise their levels for some reasons. But this is fixed with time. But in 19 years, I have not heard of a player without a job. The regime appeared to have rare and distinctive skills. I'm surprised by the work in the system. He says it's like gaming coins. He appears in front of a legendary item, trying to buy the item, but the system refuses because the system does not sell to a regular customer. The system tells him that if he wants to become a rare customer, his account must increase by 10 billion. His current account is 0. He says, "Can I get an item capable of curing my father?" He goes looking for a potion to cure his father. He gets a dose of Lazida that strengthens a low-class person. Increases strength by 1. Does not work on people with strength of 100. He says, I have to think about this carefully. After thinking carefully, he bought the potion. He says, but should I really eat this? He takes the dose and eats it. His physical strength increases. He says, I feel strong in my body. I feel stronger after increasing his strength by 1 point. Now, we'll use the points not to become stronger. He sells used items without increasing his points. The system deducts 20% from each item he sells. He buys a low-rank potion and eats it. In the morning, he decides to go to the guild, not to register, not to become a player. You receive beautiful women. She asks what she can offer him. He tells her that he was just woken up and I want to be recorded. The beautiful woman is surprised and asks, "Are you sure of what she said?" "Sir, as you can see, there is no record of a man your age being awakened. The highest age observed is 58 years. Ha asks, "What are you talking about?" He looks at a face in the mirror and is surprised that he has become old. One of the union members comes and asks what happened. She tells him that this elderly person has woken up and came to register. He said he must be an idiot. "My lord, sir, are you okay?" The hero of the story says there is nothing free in this world. He returns home and says to himself that he still has less than a year to increase his points. He says, "Can I sell this? Is it still working?" Yes, it works well. He is offering, not selling. He says with these specifications, he is worth 50,000. Suddenly, the Baldo girl appears to be evil from her appearance and possesses huge wealth. She looks at things that have been put on display and not sold. She says, as expected, the same item is sold every day. The girl says, "Since this is competitive, sometimes we just play chicken games." This is how the store's economy is able to survive. Notification from the system that a divine element has been added. The girl decides to buy. Don't be a little buy. Reduces facial wrinkles and restores youthfulness. He says, "You were right. Those points are the preparation of my life. I can win or lose points." Another girl appears and has bought a number of things and asks how I can use these. She looks at the clock and the numbers are changing. She says this item must have vomited something. She takes the phone she bought previously and is surprised that it appeared on the phone screen. After that, she takes some pictures. We return to the hero of the story. He was on the job site and was energetic and strong. One of the workers asks, "Are you really good at this? Where have you worked before?" Shoi tells them that he worked in various professions. After 3 days, it appears that he has several problems. From the symptoms that he sold, he received complaints from 20 buyers, telling him that if he did not replace the items, or he would be banned for 4 days. If he does not deal with them within 4 days, he will be banned for up to 3 months. He then reviews the complaints and finds all the items that have problems, including the battery, the gaming device, and the glasses. Sean decides to go to work to collect enough money to buy replacement items for the items he was about to sell before they were banned. He returns 3 days later and has bought all the items that were previously sold. He says to himself, "How long the battery will last? It is very old." He uploads all the notifications you received previously and then gets life points. He regains his activity after looking at the life points he obtained from selling items. After that, he decides that he will sell everything he can get, such as an old mobile phone and a video game console. After the points were collected, he decided that he would score as a player. In order to obtain a player card, you must complete 3 weeks of compulsory training at the Players Academy. The coach tells him that if you fail, you will repeat it again and again until you succeed. If you never succeed, you will not get a player card. The instructor tells them that waking up does not give everyone the right to fight in his cell. Sean shows off his fighting skills in front of the coach. The coach and the other players are amazed by Sean's skills. The coach informs him that he has been accepted into the academy. Some players say they are proud of themselves. Transfer some players to the affairs of pain and exaggerate the show a little. Just because you have a rare skill, you act as if you were superior to him. 3 weeks later, in the meantime, you all did well. One of the girls tells him that there is a party, Sadaka. Would you like to join us? He apologizes to her because she has work. Some players say he will not come. He is talented, yet this is really unfortunate. Let us not think about this, as we will not meet him in the future. After that, Sean goes to the academy to register as a player. He is greeted by a beautiful girl who, I think, is a secretary, and tells him that he has been successfully accepted, and you give him the card. He thanks her. He said to himself, I can now sell this book. The book was a passive skill. When you use this skill, your monthly energy consumption will be reduced by 10%. When I go fishing, I can save some money for bills. He went to rent equipment from the Two-Horned Rabbit dungeon branch. I took everything he needed and he paid it all on his card. The shop owner made it up to approve their service. How much does the store owner warn you if it is returned late? Other expenses will be added, so be careful. A little says, oh, yeah, everything needs money here. He was thinking to himself that the expenses for renting the armor and using the cell were very expensive. Then go to the dungeon, the two-horned rabbit. He finds that some players want a healer and others want a defender, but he decides to enter alone without joining his team. The situation worsened for A. While before, he entered the cell after spending 3 weeks in the academy. Status window. The name is a bit. Level 1. Main function. There is no title. There is no strength 70, fitness 70, endurance capacity 70, magic energy 30, mental strength 30, points, statistics, 0, individual skills, buying and selling, activated skill, healing, normal level, passive skills, steel body normal level. What is this? I am able to join any group, but there is no need for all of this. Today is rabbit hunting with horns alone. Pretending to be in possession of the book, It Can, which I purchased recently. The person in charge of the cell. Are there no other members? He answers them, yes. He says to himself that he must think that I am a fool trying to clean the cell alone. There are hardly any cases where the higher ranks try to enter the dungeon alone. Hunting A. Reality is different from games. One mistake could cost you your life, or make you suffer from disability for the rest of your life. The person in charge of the cell. Did this person enter alone? He must face deadly calamities to know the extent of his strength. Shui enters the cell and lights a fire because the cell was very dark. So this is the cell. There were some people suffering from fighting the horned rabbit. They say those who wake up for the first time receive training for 3 weeks. But not long ago, they were just ordinary people who went to school and went to jobs. One of the people asks his friend, "Are you okay?" He answers, "Yes, I'm fine." How he sees them fighting and says, "I underestimated it because it is a low-level dungeon." People are fighting two horned rabbits. Sean looks at the guards and finds that they do not care about what is happening in the battle. He says, "Does this mean that they do not care unless the other party is about to be crushed? There is no need to watch." See you. In the depths of the dungeon of the horned rabbits, people appear and say to the director, "Well done, Omar. You have worked hard." The assistant director of the first team, the therapist, Kim Ji-soo, appears, and next to her is a boy named JC. She tells them, "But you guys have done it." Apparently they were talking about a monster. One of them said that if he appeared while we were doing our duty, we would do whatever it took to capture him alive. Someone says, "Yes, we will make sure of that." Then they turn on their stealth skills, and one of their men says, "Please no." They apologize to her and tell her we will do better. Jessie says, "My sister, we will definitely catch him in a few days." She tells her it has already been 15 days. My sister appears in front of them. "Isn't there someone there?" Kim, "I was going to listen." "Then why did he come here alone?" Kim, "This is what I want to know. This crazy person has rented equipment. This means that he is a complete beginner. What does he do with himself? Is he trying to hunt alone because he is the assassin type? There are always reckless idiots like, as expected, if you are using a skill, you need to be at least level 35 to kill him with one hit. Choi already killed the horned rabbit with one hit, and says there is no other way. I have to get used to it. I've caught a lot, but not one item. I will now tell you about monsters and how the magic power works in monsters. The possibility of the magic power in the corpse of monsters changing to monthly stones. The elements decreasing, and no element appearing in the board. Kim replies to her, "There is no one to say we can't. There is nothing to do at home anyway." The events lead to the hero of our story. At that moment, he kills a lot of rabbits. He obtains a jewel and says that this is the 5th jewel from. It's difficult even if I'm hunting with a partner. I have to progress now with this many monsters. It's not like there's an experience bar like in the games. Even then, I should be able to finish within an hour. What a good thing. Kim Ellis, a beginner at level 20, says, when a person hunts a monster with a higher level, a woman can gain a normal amount of experience points and their items. But when I hunt a monster that is less than 20 levels, they cannot gain any experience points. After fighting the horned rabbits for a while, he checks his condition and finds that it has not changed. He says, I heard that it usually takes a day or two to reach the highest level. Jesse says, is it me, or is the atmosphere a little close? After that, the hero of our story takes a break and says, in the past 10 days, I earned 100 million points from trading, but I only earned 100 points from fishing monsters. Let's think calmly. This is not so bad. The hero of our story then kills the horned rabbits. It seems that there are many of them this time, but he kills them all. The hero of the story checks his condition to find that he obtained the title of Hunter of Horned Rabbits. He says, I have seen this on the internet before. Additional cases are granted when achieving special achievements. So, hunting 300 monsters is not limited to raising the level, but can be upgraded to the rare category. This isn't bad. Kim says, it's been a while, but it looks like I caught a big fish. He killed the horned rabbits with one hit. It would have been useful for her once or twice. We would have said it was just luck. But the matter behind that is that he planned to kill the rest with one hit. Also, even when he was targeted by many monsters, he was forced to reveal his skills. The hero of the story says that I have to enter more this time. After that, Kayam calls him, you, and he says to herself, high-level equipment players only. Among them are these. Kim says, there's no need to be careful. We are the safety guards. The hero of the story says, oh, see him. What are you doing here? Is there safety inside the cell? Also, no sounds were made, nor does it seem that you have ID cards. It says, Jesse, we were returning from a mission to protect the defunct gates. We used the stealth skill to avoid the rabbits, so you did not notice our presence. The hero of the story says, I did not hear the sound of their breathing, let alone in their presence. Jesse says, we also saw you while you were hunting. You were more skilled than you. You are a master in a dungeon. It is now the beginning of the century, so I could not look away from you. I wish you could tell us your level. He says, nothing will be accomplished by telling them. Do I have to tell you? Kim says, oh, with the drum, no. I was just curious. I'm from a bad union. You see, the hero of the story says to himself, a union. It's the huge union that funds it. Bad group. The big company that you disobeyed, Kim says. If you allow me to see a window into your statistics, I will hope to include you in a guild. Bad says to himself, this will not happen. I am at a point where I need to be banned. I am about to reach a point where I cannot advance in level. It is already suspicious that a player has one level of many skills and high statistics. But if the level does not increase even after hunting, they know that I have become stronger. Even in this situation, the hero of the story says to Kim, I have no intention of joining any union. She says, how many minutes can it be that you do not know a union? Sue says to her, I know it. Kim says, but you still refuse to join. The hero of the story says, I just hate the idea to join a union. Kim asks the hero of our story, do you have a connection to another union? He says no, recently. I have no plans to join a water union. JC is surprised by his words. Kim thinks about, it's great, it worked. He says, if I can leave. Kim gives him the company card and tells him, if you ever change your mind, please call me. If I have the skill, I'll get the best transactions that you might get one day. The hero of the story says, I will think about this. Kim asks him, if you want to leave the cell, what do you think about going with us? I think you avoid the annoying things. He tells her, it's okay. She says, Kim, he's very arrogant. He won't last long. JC says, you're right. He will definitely regret it, but we can't leave him like this. Let's go. He says, after he got out of the cell on me. The ban? They are on a completely different level. After that, he comes out and asks if he is not left yet. He goes after that and takes a taxi. He asks the taxi owner, where do you want to go? He says, for now, please leave the place. after he chases the taxi driver from the rabbit cell with the cage. The hero of the story checks his cell phone and tells the driver to go to the nearest cell. A bloody fox says he stole the taxi. You must have been promoted in the cell of the horned rabbits. Congratulations to you. The hero of retribution tells him that it is true. Thank you. The driver of the story told him, so he knows the way. The hero of the story looks at the status window and finds that he has a title in the status. The title is 1. The Hunter of Horned Rabbits. First level. Job. There are no life points. 100. The Hero's Secret. The story goes to the dungeon of the Blood Fox. They send partners for them to join their team. Some of them are looking for a defender, and some of them are looking for a healer. They will double the stones of infidelity for them. The hero of the story says that this atmosphere is a little familiar. He then goes to the gate, and the guard receives him. He asks the employee, tells him about the rest of his team who is with him. The hero of the story tells him that he is alone. The employee gives him a car. He then goes to the cell. The scene is very familiar. The players are fishing and the guards are sitting, not paying attention to the matter, by hunting foxes, but the fox travels in herds. He says that one fox saves 180 points. One fox hunts a hill, and after 2 hours, it seems that the hero has hunted 300 foxes. He opens the status window and looks at the normal class. Bloody Fox. Says as expected, the status window is the Bloody Fox Hunter, and the last name is Choi Hyan Sung. First level. Job. There are no titles. 1 point. Health 100%. Magic energy 100%. Strength 70 plus 1. The statistics are 0. After that, the hero of the story increases his strength. He says, I think I should rely on nicknames. Suddenly, the fox appears in abundance. He says, then let's try it again. 7 hours later, it appears that he has hunted them all. Status window. 1000 monsters alone. Achievement reward title, Bloody Fox Hunter rare rank. It seems that the hero of our story is happy with what he has accomplished. Great. My grades have risen. Bad status. Bloody Fox Hunter is 2 more after I obtained the title of Hunter. The Blood Fox, the rare level, increases the strength by 2, and it may rise to the epic level. The hero of the story takes a break and says, okay, so the rare level is not the limit. I will come back again tomorrow. He looks at the mana stones and finds him. The hero of the story takes out a book of skills. A system is shown to him, and he is told that this book is a passive skill that strengthens the bones, muscles, and skin. A poem appears. I have already learned the skill. You cannot acquire this. The book says, if I knew, I wouldn't buy it. He takes out a book about negative skills. Use the skills to reduce the consumption of money by 10%. He says, I will take care of this too. After that, he leaves the cell and goes to sell what he has acquired. The employee tells him that he must put the acquired items, which include German stones, in the bag below. Look, the employee is surprised by the number of meaning stones and a book of rare skills. But the book of rare skills has not been shown before. The hero of the story tells him, there is something strange. 840,001 great. After that, the employee informs him that he will call him as soon as he registers the skills book. The hero of the story says to him, I understood you, thank you. The hero of our story thinks to himself, I should be able to achieve approximately 1.5 million a day. You are every son, really. Our hero goes to the park to buy. He takes lunch. He wonders to himself if I should get a hotel room nearby. It takes a lifetime for inflammation. Coming back and forth today. I will finally be able to upgrade my title. The hero of the story goes to the dungeon after lunch and hunts wolves. He has hunted 5,000 single monsters. The system tells him that he has reached heroic rank. Achievement. Reward. Blood title. Epic rank. To this level, the system tells him that he has achieved the first epic achievement. You are the first person to obtain an achievement with the heroic rank. Achievement reward. Title. The first award. Traditional achievement. The hero of the story says the first heroic player. Does this mean that there were people? Others got rare achievements, but I'm the first one to get the heroic achievement. I got it with the help of the system. It shows the status window. The first epic hero and 2 others. Name is Choi Hyun Sum. Lep, I'm 1. Position OU. Strength 70 plus. 24 agility 70 plus. 20 endurance 70 plus. 21 magic energy. 30 plus 20 mental strength. 20 plus 30 non-customized statistics. 0 unique skill. Buy sell active skills. Healing normal. Fireball normal, and 5 others. Hardened is normal, and 4 others say the hero of the story has increased my total stats by 100. The system tells him to achieve the first epic hero rank. Epic. All stats have increased by 20. He says it must be truly amazing because it is the first title ever. Strength by 4. Growing to the level of legendary is possible. The hero of the story says this is kind of amazing too. Wait. This title can still grow. I may be able to get the first legendary rank in the achievement. But this, enough for today. I cannot do more than this. I will return tomorrow. After 10 days, the hero of the story goes to the dungeon of the Blood Fox. He hunts monsters. The system tells him that he has achieved an incredible achievement. Mortada is legendary. You have hunted a monster to the Blood Fox level 10,000 times alone. Achievement reward. Title: Killer of the Blood Fox. Legendary rank. First achievement. Legendary. Title: First legendary hero. The hero of the story says, I think I will. A legendary hero and 3 others. First level. Titles. For points. Modesty 100. Magic points 100. Strength 70 plus 68. Agility 70 plus 60. Endurance 70 plus 60. Magic energy 20. 30 plus 60. Mental strength 30 plus 60. Says the hero of the story. This is amazing. The system told him that he holds the first legendary achievement. A legendary rank. All stats increased by 40. He laughs happily and says this is something. He really can't believe the system tells him that he slew the Blood Fox. Legendary rank. Strength has increased by 8. No further growth is possible. The hero of our story says, I wish I could get more before leaving here. He then leaves. The next day, the hero of the story goes to the cell. The Horned Rabbits, level 1 to 5. He hunts rabbits and says, it seems that I know how to kill the horned rabbits with my bare hands. He decides to leave the cell and goes. The recorded items have been sold and the amount is huge. The radio station has to take it directly. He looks at the message after he took a shower, and the hero of the story says I have to go to the auction house. Anyway, this will be the day I will get it. He has a lot of money. He goes in the morning to receive the amount. The employee tells him, please verify the amount and sign here. The hero of the story looks at the papers to find that he has 10 billion from every place to sell. After discounts and taxes, he says to himself that it is fake. Let's stop selling the book for points. He goes from the auction house and thinks as he walks among the people about hunting monsters with his greatest grandfather. I might win from the weakest dungeons. 10 million in 10 days for sale. Stones. The problem is that it will be possible to win 100 million won per month. The hero of our story looks at the situation and finds that he has already collected points. He says, if this continues, I will be able to buy the elixir faster than I expected. He says to himself that he has not bought any clothes. His father could not buy them, nor could his mother and sister. But all of this ends today. The hero of the story goes to the store to buy new clothes. After that, the events move us to his mother, who works in the factory. It seems that her work time has ended. At the time of their shift, she bids farewell to her friends. She says to her, oh, see you tomorrow. She replies, okay, you can leave. She then heads to her second job at the restaurant. Her son calls her, Mom. My mother looks at me in surprise and asks, are you my son? She goes to him and says he is skinny, mother. His mother says to him, what did you bring here, son? He says to her, I came to see you, mother. They leave, and she tells him that we have died a lot since then. He says, this is impossible. She asks him, did he eat your dinner? He tells her that he did not eat it, and he wanted to eat it with him. She says to him, "Oh, is this true?" Sean tells him. His mother tells him that she cannot come back today and tells him that she has to go to the restaurant. She gives him some money and tells him that you have to come back first and order dinner. As for tomorrow, I will cook you a delicious meal. Sean says to his mother, "Mom, you didn't eat your dinner either. If we're going to eat it anyway, why don't we eat it together?" His mother tells him, "I can just eat at my workplace in the restaurant, so you can go now." After that, he decides to accompany his mother, but his mother tells him to go because he is tired, but he insists. Then he tells his mother that he came to teach her. His mother thinks to herself, "What is it? Mom, I was woken up." His mother tells him what she means. He shows her the card and tells her, "You have become a player, and therefore you are able to resign from your job in the factory and the restaurant." His mother tells him that your job is very dangerous. He tells her, "There is no need to worry, because I am here. The priority is my safety, so you can resign now." You say, "I can't. The player does not always get a lot of money." It is true, not to mention that I heard that a lot of money was spent in the beginning, says the hero of the story. To his mother, "I was lucky. Take a look at this." His mother looks at his account and is surprised at the amount in it. 1 billion. He tells her that he obtained a rare skills book while he was fishing and sold him this money. "It will enable us to pay our debts and provide for my father's expenses." It is true, so from now on, let us live comfortably. His mother breaks down and cries and tells him that she is truly sorry. He tells her that there is no need to say this. "Why are you apologizing to me, mother? Wasn't it thanks to you? And my father, why am I not living in good health now? Please rest and take care of my father." My mother says to him, "Thank you, son." After that, he goes to the restaurant. She introduces them to her son. After that, he does the work on behalf of his mother. The employees are surprised. His speed at work. Someone says to him, "Thank you for your help. Thanks to you, everyone will go home early." Sean says, "Then we will leave now." After that, his mother bids farewell to her colleagues at work, and they head home. I greet them. His sister tells them that she has come back to look at her brother and mother with surprise, and tells them what is wrong. Suddenly, Shalon interrupts her and tells her that he has good news, so please rest for a while. Shalon tells his sister that his sister's strength has awakened. She did not believe the news. Something strange has happened. She also looks at his account and finds that he has 10 billion. She asks him, "Is this real?" He says to her, "Yes, so don't worry too much. Thank you for your hard work. I will take care of the rest from now on." His sister gets up, crying with joy. He tells her that he will leave and come back again when his mother finishes work. She asks his mother, "Will you always dress like this?" He tells her, "And rent equipment near here, mother." Then the women leave, mother. On the second day, his mother appears trying to contact her son, Sean, saying whether something happened to him in the cell. After that, Sean appears running, saying to his mother, "I'm sorry, I'm late. He was there, traffic jam, so I ran here." His mother scolds him. After that, they go to the hospital to visit his father. Sean was sad about what happened to his father. He says, "I will check your treatment after 10 days of visiting his father." The events take us to the hero of our story, and he is in the cell hunting monsters. A notification appears from the system, telling him that he has an incredible and legendary achievement. You have been able to hunt 10,000 high-level monsters, rabbits, alone. The reward. The legendary rabbit, the hero of the story, looks at the clock and says, "I can hunt for another 6 hours." After that, he goes out and takes the tax and goes to another cell. He arrives there and finds that there are no players and says, "Is this the cell? I heard about it. There are no players here." Vampire Bat Dungeon. Approximate level 10 to 15. The hero of the story says to himself, "They say that the bats that live here are larger than ordinary bats. It will be difficult for beginners to find them, impossible for ordinary players, without the major guilds that have high-level players." The hero of our story turns on the ghost and looks at the guards in their grandfather's room. They do not care about what is going on. He says to himself that bats are scary. Should we he activates the shield and cancels the ghost. He cuts one of his fingers to bring out blocks of fire. The hero of the story feels a dark aura approaching him. When they are a swarm of bats, he says that using two skills at the same time is very tiring, but it is useful in some ways. This will be too loud. He shoots it at the bats. The force of the explosion reaches him. He feels the force of the blow and says, "Was that too loud?" The bats attack him. He eliminates them one by one with his fist. The game shows him a notification from the system. High alone reward. Rare vampire bat predator. It says if I work hard, I might get a legendary title in the time I have left. Wondering how many items and mana stones I will get. Then the mana stones will start. The hero of our story is surprised by the fusion of the remaining mana and turns into a sword. After that, a notification appears from the system telling him that it is a rare vampire sword that restores the health of the user and the inhibitor by absorbing blood. The goal, the hero of our story, says, the price is equal to 2. The most important thing is, can it appear again? Even if there are common monsters, they are all killed at once. From a large group, rare equipment appears after a week. It seems that the hero of our story is hunting monsters with flames. He finds that the metal does not melt. He is surprised by this, because after using the vampire sword, it melted only once. The hero of our story looks at his bag and finds that he has a cloak. He says, "What is this?" Classification only. The hero of our story stops hunting in this dungeon and says it is better that we go to another dungeon and get a little from there. I will leave the dungeon after 10 days have passed. He tells his mother that he will buy a house for them. His mother says, "A lot of money at once to buy a house. What will remain? You probably have a lot to spend money on." He tells his mother, "You don't have to worry. I will make sure it is not a big burden." He and his mother go to the real estate office. They tell him that they have called. Before the real estate official says to him, "Oh, you are talking about the apartment in the opposite neighborhood." The hero of the story says to him, "Yes." The real estate official says to him, "Let's go." Then his mother tells him, "Isn't she looking for a little large space for the house?" He tells her, "It's okay for us to go." They move to their new house. His sister says, "It's great. It's very big. It's really nice." He tells her, "I'll take you to a bigger house. So next time, like you." She says to him, "I'm fine at this size." His mother prepares food for them. The sister of the hero of the story says to her mother. The hero of the story says to himself that this is nice. Next time he will be with his father, who will make sure this happens. After that, he goes to the bloody rat cell, suitable for 8 to 10. He hunts rats and seems to be enjoying himself. The hero of our story says, "They are faster than I thought. Why don't I work hard for this?" He hunts a large number of rats with flames. After that, he collects mana stones. He goes to sell it. While leaving the agency, he meets a girl who says to him, "Mr. Chun, I'm happy to see you again. Let me introduce myself officially. I am the vice president of CEO Lee Soo-hee's team. Can I take a minute of your time?" Sean looks at her in surprise and says to himself, "Former security agent." It seems he remembered her when he met her in the cell. A week before the meeting, union manager shouts at his deputy. He asks her who this person is. She tells him, "I have no idea." The union president, CEO Maggie Hoon, looks at the license of the hero of our story and finds that the number of times he entered the dungeon does not exceed 22 times. The items he obtained were 17. The money stones he dropped were 3,261. He holds his head and says, looking at the magic stones he obtained, he was killed at least 10,000 monsters himself. The deputy says to him, "It seems that he has a special ability, doesn't he?" He tells her, "Most likely. Also, it seems that his skills may plan to level 20. We should get it." She tells him, "I think so." The guild manager, Sue, decides that a person who is good at negotiating tells her that she should go too, since she has met him before. She tells him, "Okay." He asks her, "Did this information leak to the other members of the union?" Kim says no. No one besides the boss knows this, and also made sure that GC will not leak any information. He says, "Good." After that, the events move to the hero of our story, as he thinks to himself, and says that she had given him a card before, and told him just to be on the safe side. If you have any plans to enter our union, please contact us. If you have the skills, we will. The hero of our story asks them how you were able to know my name and how you got here. Kim apologizes for disturbing him. He asks again how you were able to know my identity. Did you even bribe? While they are talking, the union manager comes and says to him, "It is an honor to meet you, Mr. Shawi. It is an honor to meet you. If you don't mind, can we have the conversation in a quieter place?" The hero of the story says to him, "No thanks." The union leader says to him, "It's okay with you." After a period of time, Shaw goes to his house and finds them waiting for him. The union president says to him, "We have waited for you here." It is an official initiative from him. "I am Go Jin. I work as the leader of the first scouting team for the union." He says to them, "Why did you come to meet me?" He tells them, "I have no interest in entering." The guild leader suspects that he has angered the hero of our story. He tells him, "Completely understand your doubts. I offer my sincerest apologies regarding this Friday. I do not think this is something that the other guild should be angry about." The hero of our story says to himself that his words do not match his actions. On top of all this, CEO's union is one of the 3 best unions in Korea. He is a good promoter. So what are the details of the contract and the salary that I will receive? The director of Sue's union told him this. The hero of the story says to himself, "If they want me to show them my cards first." A union manager says, "However, we can guarantee the payment of a contract worth 10 billion won and a salary of 1 billion won. The hero of the story is surprised by the contract and says, "What? Something is not right." The deputy director says to him, "This is your license." He says, "I was revealed in my level only when I registered to obtain a license in the association." He says, "Is this because of the gemstones?" The union director says to him, "What do you mean by this?" He says to himself, "This guy doesn't know, but I think she knows about this. But there's no way a bad guild could be greedy about a player's mana stones. Do they think I have some kind of experience or skills?" The guild manager tells him, "What do you think? It's not like you have anything to lose. Instead of telling our story, revealing anyone's information does not harm the game. Also, Mr. Go-jin did not make a single promise to me until Go-jin says this." The hero of the story tells him, "If you are sure of this, send me about 100 million in contract fees first. Then I will show you the statistics window and I will enter your guild with pleasure." Go-jin says okay. In order to send the fees, we need to see the data window. The hero of the story says, "I don't have anything for someone who wants to corner me." He then leaves and says it's better not to join them. Also, I need to control the number of money stones I have. You've attracted a lot of attention. Come on. The hero of the story says, "It seems that even my information has been leaked." A call comes from a stranger. He answers it, and he finds it. Go-jin, the head of the Su Union, then turns off the mobile phone. He then goes home and takes a shower. He receives a message. He looks. The events take us to the lizard dungeon. The hero of the story hunts lizards, looks at his condition and says, "There is nothing left. If I continue at this pace, then I will get the elixir quickly." He shows his status and says, "In this status, I think I can kill level 60 to 70 monsters with just one hit." Status window. Title, Blue Lizard Killer. Name, Shui. Basic job. There is no first level. The hero of our story says the goal of the first day is to obtain the title of Red-Furred Wolf Hunter. Will he ever? He goes deep into the dungeon. It appears to be a powerful monster that kills players. A player from level 71 appears before us, but the 3-headed monster kills the players in front of them. He was unable to do anything. He attacks me if the monster eats him with his hand. After that, the player comes close to escaping and says to himself, "It is not too late yet." If you run quickly, the monster attacks him and eats half of his body. A group of players talk among themselves and say, "This dungeon is definitely famous." The hero of the story says in the dungeon, "What a problem." After the great disaster, there was no end to the number of dungeons, and also since the advantage, but it stopped. And suddenly, the heroic dungeons appeared 9 years ago. The hero of the story attacks the red-furred wolves with a bat, sword, and fireball, and he fires a magic missile at the wolves, telling them to advance. He kills them all, and says, "I finished faster than I expected." The system shows him a notification telling him, "An incredible achievement. You have been able to hunt 300 high-level red-furred wolves alone. The reward is a wolf hunter with the highest level." The hero of the story says that the sword's ability to steal souls is very useful. Let's move. He goes into the dungeon and finds that a group of players is fighting a wolf. One decides that he did not intervene and leaves, and finds another group there. He says, "I will need to find another dungeon." Meanwhile, a monster appears and kills the players with one blow of his hand. One of the players says, "What is this monster?" The monster strikes him with one blow, uprooting his head from its place. The hero of the story looks at the blood and cannot bear it. The three-headed monster appears, and the hero of the story says, "Damn, this is very dangerous." He uses the ghost skill to escape from the monster. He says, "Did the ghost skill work, or did it not work on him?" The monster attacks him. The hero of the story activates the shield skill. It seems that it did not work on the monster. The hero of the story attacks him with fireballs. 3 hits for each monster's head. 1 hit from fireballs. It seems that the fireballs did not work on the monster. The hero of the story says, "I was going to get into a big problem." That monster barely received any damage. The hero of the story tries to escape from the monster. He says that he is very tough. Where the hell did that monster come from? These are the dungeons for levels 15 to 20. He says, "In this manner, am the one who will run out of hope first." The monster attacks the hero of the story. He receives an attack on his back, but he survives the attack. A notification from the system tells him that it is the rare vampire bat robe that softened the blow he received. The hero of the story says that it is tougher than the equipment he rented. There is no other solution in this case. My life will become shorter. The hero of the story decides that he buys a potion that increases his strength. After 20 minutes have passed, his strength increases. He says, "You chased me for many hours, but now that you have found me." The hero of the story attacks the monster with fireballs several times and says, "It seems that I will knock you to the ground without any problems. If we continue in this manner." The monster attacks him. The monster injures his hands. The hero of the story says, "What is this? I have nothing. They seem to be weak to flameball. There is no better skill that I can use." It unlocks buying and selling skills to buy some skills. He decides to buy the skill activation book, creating a fire spear. It has a strong penetration. The hero of the story says that it is expensive. Its price is 400 million won. I think that there is nothing wrong with this number of points. Let us buy it and see what it does. The hero of the story prepares to launch the spear. He says, "I hope he succeeds." He launches the spear, hitting the monster in the head. He says, "He succeeded. Let's try again." He was not injured this time. He says, "Let's see who wins." He attacks the monster several times and says, "I can do it." The system shows him a notification from the status window telling him that his mana points are decreasing quickly, and his life points are still fine, if he can endure it before the pain runs out. After that, a group of players come to the place of the fight, and look at those whom the monster has overthrown. They say, "I think it is a one-sided fight. An ordinary monster cannot leave footprints like this. It is better for us to leave. What do we do?" One of the players says, "This means they met the owners of these fingerprints. Do you think we will make a difference with our strength?" One of the players says, "But we can't just wait to take a look and then go. I don't want to die while waiting for time to pass." One of them says, "What about the player inside the dungeon?" He says to him, "What is my business? I did not come here to meet this type of monster." He says to him, "Have you finished what you said?" He replies to him, "Yes, I have finished it. What are you going to do about this?" The boy calms them down. "Will everyone calm down?" One of the players says, "Yes. The time is not right to fight ourselves." The events move to the hero of the story. He says, My mana is not being restored quickly enough. And the monster is not tired either. I must finish him quickly. I will be finished. If I miss this, it seems that. He puts the bat sword aside and says, I will be in a bad situation if I use this for a long time, and prepares to attack the monster with the spear. He says, let's see who wins. This is kind of crazy. He attacks, but is unable to harm the monster because the monster attacks the hero of the story. The hero of the story thinks about where the next attack will come from. He evades and attacks him from above, hitting the monster in the head. The third remaining man says that the hero of the story says, let's cut this off to end the matter. But the monster did not die, because it renews itself after being injured. He says that it regenerates quickly. You are truly a stubborn monster. This is the last mana I have left. The hero of the story attacks the monster, injures one of its hands, and cuts it off. He attacks with all his might to cut off its head. And the hero of the story eliminates the monster. The system shows him a notice. You have hunted a monster of a high level. Rare. The name of the monster is the three-headed Graydon. Performance Award. The title, Who Killed the Three-Headed Graydon? The hero of the story says, this is a person who is a monster. The hero of the story is surprised by the title, the first title. The system appears and tells him an incredible achievement, a rare rank. You have hunted a monster of a high level. That has a difference of more than 100 levels. Performance Award title. Hero of the story says about getting titles, but when you think about the problem, the hero of the story looks at the monster and finds that he obtained a book from the monster after he killed him. Notice from the system, the Book of Immortality, a single rank, rare writing skills. The hero of the story says that a single rank is rare, so I will not die unless my head is completely destroyed. All my wounds will heal slowly, so as long as I protect my head, this simply means that I am immortal. She says that healing is slow. The hero of the story says, was it a legendary rank? I haven't seen it in play at home yet. If carriers see this skill, they will definitely want it. It is very rare, at the same level with the heroic and legendary rank. Most importantly, that notification from the system. Do you want to get the only rare rank in the world? The hero of the story makes a purchase and says it gets better. The skill heals. Explanations. The hero of the story says, wow, my health seems to be returning. Notification from the system. First level crusher. Common rank. All cases increased by 5 units. It says great. If I am in common rank, this means I have been promoted to a higher level. The system shows three-headed garden assassin. Rare rank increased. The hero of the story says, it's not bad. I think if he's a good girl, that three-headed Gordon. Well, now, should I go in and take a look? A group of players are making an appearance. They're called the Players Association, the Extermination Team. One of the players says, a player has been found. She says to him, a boy, I am from the Players Union. She looks and says, what is this now? A high-level monster is destined to appear. The Red Wolf's dungeon orders them to evacuate the dungeon as soon as possible. The boy says, President of the Extermination Society, Shen Yun. The number of players who died is actually a 2-digit number. One of them says, is this true? The President of the Extermination Society says, it is. Have you discovered any other entities that have been classified as high-pain monsters? After examining it, the player says that it is just the Red Wolf. One of them says, one of them was found. The player says something. Which way are they going? And how many are there this time? He says that one person, Shane. After that, they head towards the goal, whose presence they felt. One of the players says, what is this? What is this that I feel? The hero of our story looks at them and finds that they have expensive equipment. He says, how amazing are the people? Are they at a high level? He looks at their equipment and finds it very shiny. Shane says to him, are you okay? The hero of our story told her that he is fine. She tells him, I was hurt. Have you met that man? The hero of the story says with surprise that the man tells him that he is a high-level monster, which you cannot find in the wolf dungeon. He says to himself, I have already killed him. Did the association discover Arjun's presence? He tells her, yes, she met him. She asks him where that young man is he still close? She gives him treatment and says, this is too much for someone who barely managed to survive. This will help your injury heal. He says to himself that the treatment is very expensive, and the system tells him a modern, arranged treatment dose. You tell him that you can put it in your hand to treat your injury. So our whole story before. This is something I want to tell you about, and it is about the monster that you met. Shane says to him, yes, tell me about him please. The hero of the story tells her, he was a huge cheetah, and he had 2 sons. Shane says a monster like this has never been seen before. It was as big as a big house. He passed this way. Shin thanks him for telling her. After that, they head towards the face at high speed, and the hero of our story says, I got the good things. Shin and her companions reach the end of the dongo. One of them said, do you think he went to the other side through the gate? We do not know when he will attack us again. While one of the saliva is thinking and saying, let us report what happened to the Union. This is incomprehensible. We will report it. Shane asks her friends, do you think that the person we met got out safely after losing all the members of the Union? It seems that he was barely able to get out. Shin tells them to wait here. Someone asks her where she's going. She says something. I can't stop thinking about the one who hurt himself. I'll go check on him, if he's okay. One of the players tells her that he knows the way out. She says to him, but he is alone, and perhaps he will be in danger. Well, we will wait here. She thanks them. After that, she goes quickly to look for the hero of our story. But he called to the end of the cell and did not find him. She says, maybe it is. The events move to the hero of our story. He has arrived at his home. He looks at the wound on his hand and says that the effect is better than I expected. Although the recovery time of the inhibitor is slow, this is consistent with the healing skill. He is comfortable on the couch after that. His mother calls from outside and says to him, you look tired. He says to himself, I used a lot of points today. He tells his mother, there is nothing worrying. Maybe it is because I worked a lot today. He asks their mother to prepare some food for him. His mother says to him, you didn't even eat lunch. What were you doing? But I will prepare something quick for you. Just wait a little. In a little while, things will become more difficult if the situation remains like this. His sister calls his mother and tells her, Sean is at home. He tells her that there was an accident in the cell. His mother says, what happened? Many people died. The story tells itself that they are deleting the people who escaped, and they will be classified as missing. The information has not been updated yet. His mother says that's why you're here early. But he tells her not to worry. I didn't even see what happened there. He says to him, this work is what I expected, that you are doing this work because of us. He interrupts his mother, telling her that he is doing the work because he loves it. The hero of the story says that it is fun to hunt monsters in the dango. As he becomes stronger, the agencies close the dango temporarily, while a team of security guards and unions inspect the dango. They say that the security guard was killed because they could not protect themselves, while one of them looks at the traces of the 3-headed monster inside. But they do not find any trace of the monster. A player who specializes in tracking monsters appears before us. Kim Dong-soo. Shin tells them that there is really a 3-headed monster in the dungeon, but we searched carefully and did not find anything. The investigator thinks and says, I don't know how this happened either. I will try to track it down through the remaining traces of money. Shin decides that she will go with him. The investigator seems relieved that Shin is with him. While she is doing her work to the scene of an accident, he asks her, is this the place where players of the same level as me were attacked while hunting? She tells him that they went this way. It seems that the investigator has supernatural power in his eyes. He looks at the scene of the battle and says, this seems strange. The 3-headed monster attacked one of the players, but he did not die from a single blow. He moved away from the blow, and the battle continued. The game he was fighting did not. The investigator says, I can feel the effects of the flame magic. They are still strong even after this. It seems that their agility is very high. It seems that the players who fought the 3-headed cheetah were magic sword users. The investigator examines the traces with his hand. The cheetah was seriously injured. It seems that he has exhausted all his energy. Then go to the place of the fighting. The investigator tells her that the fighting happened here. Shin is surprised that he is here. The investigator tells her, yes, I was sure that they were of the magical type. But this is not the problem, as a battle took place near here, and ending the life of the cheetah. 30 heads, with a magical skill. It seems that they are definitely magic players. Given the absence of the cheetah's body, it seems that it turned into a magic stone, or a water element. Shane says to herself, impossible. He hunted the dangerous dang monster alone. What does this investigator mean when he told her that the level of a player among them has reached 24, and their levels are not even at the level of the monster? They are not even part of the security team. The security team is at the gate. Tell the investigator that there is no one other than the current players. He asks her, is there not a player who recently obtained a license? She tells him that among the people who entered the dungeon here, there were not any players who received full support from. The investigator says, how strange this is. Even if a very strong player was able to eliminate 3 heads, there is no reason for experts, like them who are accompanied by the low-level hunter. Something tells him that there is no way to track down the player who defeated the cheetah. The investigator tells her that there may be a chance, but he will try. As a result of the game, she disappeared immediately after the battle. It will be difficult to trace her, and that the layout of the dungeon is not suitable for tracking, but I cannot trace the steps of the battle between the players and the cheetah. Huge, high-level monsters leave a trail behind them as soon as they stop. The investigator tells Shin that these footprints are compared to players who move with all solidity and agility. In such simple battles, there are rarely any traces of anyone. In addition, there are no traces of the user's skill after the battle. If he used any skill, I could track the mana trends of the skill. Shin says that if there is a player like this, he must be subject to the authority and control of the Hunters Guild. We cannot lose another talent. The Players Guild is managed by several nations, and on the other hand, there are private organizations during the first stage. The number of players was very large, and its abilities were among the best over time, and with the loss of players, the guild became weaker and weaker, and in return, the private and owned guilds were growing more and more. They did not have that knowledge to understand the towers, the players, and the monsters. The people who headed the Federation of Trade Unions were corrupt politicians who paid low costs and fees to the players under a false slogan in the name of patriotism, and at that time began to deceive the players. The private unions working against the Federation used their wealth to finance high-cost contracts for players and began promising players large sums of money. Later, the union began a process of restructuring and began collecting players and presenting offers. The former politicians began to fall one after the other. After that, a place was left around the corrupt. The internal restructuring was completed, and the new players moved to the market. With the promise of providing equal payment to the players, we have only expanded in number, so when we compare with the best wolf guilds, we still suffer. After that, the organization sends them a list of people who have entered, which says something, that the player has definitely increased in potential and strength. The hero of our story decides that he will stop hunting in the Red Wolf Dango, and I must clean all the dungeons near my house. In any case, the hero of our story searches in her phone and finds that the Red Wolf Dango is present throughout Korea. The hero of our story leaves their house and says, how will I develop this skill? There is no information on the subject of developing skills on the internet. He shows the Book of Immortality, a rare and unique rank, and says, I cannot use this skill continuously, but it is a passive skill. He then goes to the hotel to rest and says, I need a way to hide the large number of magic stones. I cannot trust these players from the Players Guild who you met at the entrance to the dungeon. I must avoid the eyes of the guild employees. They say that the reason they inspect the sector is because they are afraid that some people will bring fake items, such as monster eggs or fake plant seeds. But in order not to make the players evade their taxes, there is an agreement with me. After that, the hero of our story searches the system for a way to hide the stones. He finds items for sale, a rare space, an active skill book, only for players who have a master in the skill book. You can open a space, the hero of the story says, but the skill is necessary. The system notifies him, telling him that the skill book is an area of space. Do you agree to purchase a rare skill of a high level? Note, when you purchase this item, you cannot return it or exchange it. Do you in story? He does not buy it. The system tells him, do you want to learn to activate the rare skill book? He decides, yes. He does so by extracting the writing and extracting the space skill. The hero of our story is surprised by the skill. He looks at it and says that it is larger. He says it's a little bigger than the room I used to live in. He then decides that he's going fishing, but he covers his face and presents the card to the guard. The guard looks at it and says to him, wait, you're Sean, aren't you? The hero of the story enters the dungeon of the wolves. He hunts the valley of the wolves. Poetry from the system, an incredible achievement. Rare grade, hunt 1000 monsters alone. The Red Wolf. High level, achievement award, description rare grade. He says this is fine. Remember, in a way, that the guard took his fingerprints before entering the dungeon. Entering the dungeon was smooth. He also took out the space skill and collected the mana falling from the monsters. It moves between the events to one of the unions. One of them says, is there someone who has attracted attention? The guard tells him it is difficult to obtain information after he hid it so well. It seems that they have tracked down the hero of our story. An employee tells them, I think the person we need is giving him information about the affairs of the hero of the story. He tells him that he was able to enter many dungeons of level 20 to 15 in less than 2 months. He did all that alone. I think he has surpassed the level. It seems that some agencies are negotiating to buy Sean. Some agencies ask for 100 million. One to contract with Sean, the hero of our story, but they do not provide such fees for affairs before he presents the case window first. And then they have to, one of the union members said. Of course, it is not permissible at that time to change the printing press easily. Someone says, because of this ridiculous mistake, we lost an emerging talent like Kim Hannah. The guild manager says, I will not make the same mistake again. That person was nothing more than a leader on the front lines of a guild. You can recover the money from him later if you find him. Through a mistake after seeing his status window, he signs the paper and tells him to go directly to High Sung and try to get close to him. If he signs the agreement, send him 100 billion directly. An employee says, are you really going to give them? He tells him to pay attention to the terms of the contract, so that you can get the money back again. One of the employees says, maybe I will become the union leader after solving this problem. The hero of our story goes to sell the stones of, meaning that he obtained. But he did not sell all the stones. The employee tells him, the stones have been verified. The hero of our story says to him, thank you for your work. He says to himself, I can't avoid the attention of the Seo Wu Guild. After several days have passed, it seems that he has finished hunting monsters. The system tells him, I have hunted a high-level monster, the Red Wolf, 10,000 times. Achievement. Reward title Red Wolf Slayer. Legendary rank, says I. Should finish work here today and start organizing my elements. The hero of the story gets a book, but he says, this is a duplicate paste. He looks at the second prize and finds that he got a new skill. Winds of Renewal. Popular classification. The book of passive skills increases the renewal rate. He says, I finally got it. This is a common skill book that even ordinary people want to learn. He turns on the learning skills, but the system tells him that he failed to learn the passive skill book. Winds of Renewal. The hero of the story was upset by the news and said, why did you fail to learn the skill? I have never heard of a person failing to learn any skill. The system shows a notification to the hero of the story telling him that the book of passive skills, the book of immortality, unique rare, rank has absorbed the winds of passive regeneration, and tells him that the book of immortality, unique rare, rank is a growth able rank. The hero of the story looks at the system and says, What just happened? It hasn't changed, but she said that the Book of Immortality has grown. But how much has it actually grown? He takes out his sword to see how much his regeneration skill is capable of, and cuts one of his fingers. He says there is no big difference. It was an expensive skills book, estimated at 30 million won. The efficiency is very low. The story card leaves the cell. He receives a call from an unknown number. He says, "Is it an unwanted caller?" He answers it, and tells him, "I'm sure I told you not to call again unless you are thinking about fulfilling my request." He tells him that they accepted the request. "Let's meet now to sign the contract." He says to him, "Are you serious?" He tells him, "Yes. Given that we are talking about something like this." The hero of the story tells him that he is still fishing now, so it will be difficult to meet you now. "Can you send me the contract first?" He sends him the contract. The hero of the story tells him that he will contact him after he verifies the contract. After that, he changes. It seems that the hero of our story is upset by the news. Then go to the lawyer's office to review the contract. Lawyer Lee Young-chul told him that the lawyer said that this contract has very favorable terms. "You have been well taken care of as well, but there are many homes that may." The lawyers are referring to some of the clauses that, unless they are adhered to, the union could be put in a bad position. The contract will be cancelled, or he will be held accountable in a judicial manner. He asks what these clauses are. Tell the lawyer that this part, if the union member is a member, will cause harm. This condition is as bad as the previous one. He wonders, "I do not know to what extent the contract bonus was supposed to be very important, and if it happened that the contract was cancelled due to the player's mistake." He says here, "You need to pay the contract bonus 10 times. The hero of the story is upset by the contract. The lawyer tells him that he must adjust the break fee to be equal to the contract bonus, and also asks that the bad clauses be removed. This will be the best way forward. He receives a call from the SEO union, telling the lawyer, "Hello, Mr. Choi. How are you? I am calling you about the bonus for that contract. What about reaching the average price of 500 million won? Tell the hero of the story that the amount may be the problem. The bonus I wanted was 1 billion, not half a billion. The union manager tells him, "I know this well, but you have to think about this realistically. Even the CO Wu Guild, which is known as a large union, is difficult for us to pay this amount of money. To be honest, the amount of half a billion was an amount that required me to beg those in high positions. I did not make them agree to it." I told him that he would consider his offer, but before that, could I see that contract again? He told him, "Of course, I will send it to you immediately." He hangs up the call. He then goes to the lawyer and says to him, "Are you finished negotiating?" He says to him, "Yes, I am done." The lawyer says to him, "Can I take a look at this at the moment? It seems that you are a truly valued player." He gives him the phone and prints the contract. The lawyer looks at the contract and asks him, "This from the same union as the previous contract?" He asks him, "How did you know this?" The lawyer tells him that the general form of the contracts is the same. There are only some small differences. The hero of the story asks the lawyer, "Why does the same union issue different contracts?" The lawyer answers him, "I think there are some conflicting internal parties in the union that want to recruit you. If they send different contracts, it seems that the difference between them is very large. This is useful for you. If you can exploit this well, you can get a better contract and conditions." The hero of the story says to the lawyer, "Can you make a contract similar to the first, without all those conditions that are not in my favor?" He says, "Of course I can." The hero of the story goes to the hotel to get a hold of him. He looks at the mobile phone and says, "It seems that the guild master and the deputy guild master are not agreeing. Guild master Ma Ji-hoon and deputy guild master Jung Seong. Should I mess around?" He calls, and the deputy director answers, "Hello, Mr. Choi. Have you made your decision?" He tells him to think about it a little. The reward for signing the contract was very small. "Is it possible to make it 200 billion won?" The deputy director of the guild told him that it is difficult for him to confirm that now, but I think that it is possible. The hero of the story provoked him and said to him, Then what about 300 billion games? The manager did not believe it and said, "Is it possible that you are messing with me now?" The hero of the story says, "No, no, no, telling you the truth. The team leader, Jin Sung, from the CO Wu Guild, contacted me first to recruit me, and in the name of that, it seems that the relationship between you two is very good." The vice director tells him, "Sure, we will pay more than what the team is offering." The hero of our story hangs up the call and says, "It seems they hate each other to the core." He then decides to call the team leader and says hello to me. The leader of the first team of the CO Wu Guild, Jin Sung, says to him, "Yes, Mr. Choi, have you checked the phone number?" Shui tells him frankly, "It was about to contact you directly. If the contract is signed," the union director says, "then let's meet immediately." He tells him, "But I think I don't need that anymore." The team leader asks him what you are saying specifically. Choi tells him that he sent him a contract, and they will talk after he reads the contract. The hero of the story tells him that next time, "Please contact me for an internal agreement first before contacting me," and after thinking about it a little, 100 billion rewards for signing the contract is very small. A guild manager says to them, "What are you saying?" He decides a little that he will increase the amount to 200 billion. This is a bit too little. For 300 billion, all of them are a guild manager. Are you messing with me now? Tell him that there is no need for that if you are not interested. He says it's easy to edit audio files these days. He also sends the audio to another phone and says it's time to change the phone. After a month of negotiation has passed, the deputy director appears, and he is wondering where he disappeared for a while. It is clear that he never showed himself in the cells that we manage. One of the employees tells him that they have sent someone to look for him. He says to him, "Is this all that is possible?" One of the guild members told him that after the audio file incident caused by Choi a month ago, the CO Wu Guild was completely divided into two parts because of a clash between the guildmaster and the deputy. We were lucky enough to find Choi's login logs, but even we are a SCO guild. It is not good for us to read government-run logins whenever we want. With the problems within the guild, it was difficult to share internal information. This is not the problem. Now, Shui's traces have completely disappeared. The deputy director does her hair for him. Do you think he went to another union? He tells him, "I don't think so. Most likely." He tells him that he does not want to see him now, and that he should leave. The deputy team leader went out to the employees. The employees looked at him and found him very upset about what had happened to the hero of the story. The deputy commander says to himself, "Because of that damned recording and those leaked calls, they ended up favoring the captain of the first team. I must find that motherfucker as soon as possible." The events move to the hero of the story. He says that the points gained from hunting monsters do not require a lot. Only 6 million points from hunting. The sand may form and become mountains. I am very tired. I cannot reach this stage. He sells some items. The hero of the story says that battery sales are starting to improve at this pace. This will not take much time, but there is one problem. But in reality, there are few items in the store. I do not like to register every time I offer something. Life would be easier if there was a self-registration system, such as games. Will things get better if I raise my rank? I've seen a lot of traders register thousands of times in one go, especially this one called Ekimus, but reaching the next level requires 10 million points. I have reached the halfway point. I think I should increase my hunting pace. While thinking, monsters attack him from behind, but they do not succeed in injuring him. He eliminates them with a magic piece that explodes his head, which resembles the face of a lizard. He looks at them, and they have gathered to attack, and says, "These young men are a little annoying." He looks at his tongue and finds that his tongue is very sticky. He says, "Maybe this is why people do not hunt him." He attacks them with fireballs, swords, and bats, and completely eliminates them. The system appears to tell him that one of them has bought some batteries, and he has a complaint from one of the buyers. He says, "What the hell is this? This does not look good. First, I should read." The complainant has him, "From now on, try to sell it for half the sword, because it only lasts 12 hours. Otherwise, you will regret it terribly." What the hell? He searches for buyers and finds that he buys all things. But he only buys batteries from me. If he buys from me things that are not popular, such as cameras and shaving machines, I would not think about it much. But he only buys famous batteries from me and dares to brag. What the hell did he say? He wants me to sell them for half the price. Why should I agree? The hero of the story successfully retrieves the items. The hero of the story says, okay, he wants to close my business. While the hero of the story was reviewing the items he had added to the store and selling them, Mr. Crow appears before us, who bought the items. The hero of the story says, how long will you be able to endure? Do you think you can defeat me? Buying and selling unique skills may seem like a blessing, as I became powerful through unique skills, and as a result, I became the absolute ruler of a planet. It seems that whoever the hero of our story is challenging from another planet calls himself the Crow. However, just because you have a unique skill does not mean that rising to the position of absolute ruler is an easy path. No matter what points you have, you need more. They are easy to spend, but earning them was very difficult. The basic pattern for beginners is to use the points gained through hunting to buy medicines and skill books to become stronger. However, a rare group of individuals who collect points by selling special items that are only found on the planets they live on. But the hero of our story monopolizes the batteries and sets conditions on them. There will be no refills or replacements after purchasing the item. The Crow decides that he will buy even if these items are under a monopoly. The corresponding power of absolute capital did not. The Crow says that he will buy everything the beginners sell. I will buy everything from them, and then complain until they are forced to suspend their business for 3 months. It's simple after that, because once those 3 months have passed, I will repeat the same thing, and no matter how much they yell, they will have no choice but to bow down to me in the end. They will have to sell their items at the time and price I set for them. Naturally, will gain a monopoly on this item. The moment they disobey my order, will impose another suspension. But he looks at the account of the hero of our story and does not find batteries to buy. At the same time, the hero of the story finishes retrieving them and storing them in space. He decides that he will go to buy new items to sell them. He goes to the store to buy a quantity of batteries and then returns to the hotel, but they force him to suspend the sales and purchases process. But he comes back and says it will not be easy. He opens the sales window to begin the second round, lighting up the price of ducks. If the sale continues like this, they will eventually catch up with him. It seems that he decided to raise the price of the battery to 3 times the previous price. After some time has passed, it seems that his total points have exceeded 10 billion points and his rank has increased to the point of his purchase catalog was increased and his window capacity increased to 100. It seems that the hero of the story was insulted by them at first, but he was nothing but a genetic tree that gave him everything. The complaints have almost been proportional to the increasing number of products. But the elements must begin to change slowly to control the number of products. The hero of the story makes a large offer and says, buy this too, if you can. The targets move to the Crow and he says, have they surrendered? It will take some time for him to regain his stock. With such a large loss, it will take some time. Also, when he quadrupled the price, he got really angry. Damn it. But it's hard to back down in a situation like this. I can afford this amount. I finally put this bastard to rest for a while. He looks at the case to find that a 10,000 watt-hour battery has been displayed that can support USB and is capable of charging more than 120 smartphones and more than 24 tablets. Will you buy a large capacity camping battery? There will be no. The Crow says this I had a next generation product whose registered battery components exceeded 70. If you bought all of them it would be about 2.1 billion points. But what if this man puts more money in himself after he bought the Crow shape? Do I have to invest another 2.1 billion points to buy it? If I can get a guarantee of success, I will not only invest 2.1 billion points, but I will invest 210. A notification appears when the hero of the story notices it has been sold, saying how there are no more complaints. It seems as if they have given up. It seems that the camping batteries have been purchased by my original customers. Looking at the situation, he finds that all the buyers are angry because this guy inflamed the matter more than I intended. The hero of the story decides to go out to the store to buy some items and says to himself that the sales of pre-existing items are decreasing over time. I should start selling them as well. The events move to the castle, which seems to be terrifying. There is a woman who is examining the items offered for sale and decides to buy some of the items. From the account of the hero of his line, she says, "I don't know how good it is. Am I supposed to buy and see?" After that, the hero of the story returns to the hotel and sees what has changed. A total of 14 billion points is shown to him. A warning from the system: to upgrade your rank to champion, you must exceed 1. The road is still long. After that, he decides to buy some items. It seems that he is the owner of the terrifying castle called the Arcade God. It seems that she has a background in buying and selling products. After some time has passed in buying and selling, he says how much the legendary elixir will cost. He receives a call from his mother. "Hello, mother, son. Do you know a person named Seo from the Seo Wu Guild?" He says, "Not really." He says he is the leader of the second support team in. He says to her, "No, I will talk to him alone later, and do not open the door for him." His mother says, "Isn't there something good?" He says to her, "I will tell you later." Well, do not exhaust yourself for our sake, and do not do anything very dangerous. Tell his mother, "Don't worry about it." The captain of the second team calls the hero of our story. "Hello, it's been a long time. I can call you now." The hero of the story says, "What are you trying to take? What is the reason for your going home?" My mother says to him, "It seems that you have done a lot about the matter. You should calm down first. I have visited them, Bani Hasna, since your father's health deteriorated. I think this decision will be too much for your father. So I came to explain the situation to your mother as well. And the heart of the story is the person who signs the contract is me, not my mother." He tells him that this is true, but an important decision like this must be discussed with your family, of course. I even said that I would straighten your hair. Why are you so uncooperative? The hero of the story says, "Are you really saying this?" After you sent him this contract, he says to him, "What is the problem with the contract? Is there a problem before him?" And it's all the hero of the story. "Are you asking because you don't really know? I consulted a lawyer about this matter. It turns out that there are some problems. The deputy commander says he's just a girl we added in case anything happens. If you're the talented person we want, it won't be a problem." The hero of the story says, "If I'm not like that, then I will have shown us my status window in the end." Mr. Shaw says to him, "Please let us stay positive about this." The hero of the story says to himself, "But I don't think his union will ever understand my predicament." He says, "I will hang up if that is all you want, and I will change my number again as soon as I finish this call. So calling me on this number again will be useless. And also, if you approach my mother again, you will never see sunlight again." He turns off the phone and says, "This arrogant bastard," asks one of the employees, "Did you find his location?" The employee's photo says, he found his location, but it's in the domain of the Usong Union. The employee says, "What should we do?" He tells him to contact Wu Haiyan's union, tell them. He says, "I did not kill him. If we make him feel some threat, he will come back to us crawling." The hero of the story appears before us while he is shopping. He says that since my sales volume has increased, I have become a father whenever I have possession of him. However, my situation has stabilized a lot. After buying some items, he goes to the dungeon and says it is time to hunt again. He attacks them, but their numbers are too many. After 5 hours have passed, the battle ends. A notification from the regime: "You have hunted 10,000 high-level children." The hero of the story says, "I got it earlier than expected." He comes out of the frog dungeon and says, "I will go to the goblin dungeon today." But there are some men tracking him. It seems that this is the work of the deputy leader of the Seo Wu Guild. They furiously follow him until he reaches the cell, and he does not feel their presence. He says, "This is the first time I have seen a cell of this type. The forest looks at the guards and decides that he will sneak into the cell. He turns on stealth mode and enters the cell without the guards knowing. He says here should start attacking them with magic missiles and fireballs. He says they seem very smart. This forest is very good. I think I should finish this. He inserts water stones into space. And suddenly, he feels the presence of people and says, "Are there still more?" I say, one of the people is angry about who is hunting in our area.